Picture yourself at the very end of a massive undertaking. You can feel the heat of the spotlight, hear the roar of the crowd, and experience the exact moment you break the tape. Self-help authors and motivational speakers have built an entire industry around this exact exercise. They tell us picturing victory vividly in our minds is the ultimate prerequisite to achieving it. But when neuroscientists track the biology of people who visualize success, they find a biological short circuit. Daydreaming about the finish line actively prevents you from reaching it. In a series of experiments at New York University, psychologist Gabriele Oettingen monitored the physical state of subjects as they vividly imagined their ideal outcomes. Notice how physiological energy levels dive the exact moment you picture the reward. By simulating the win, your brain believes the work is done. As you see by this massive gap, you no longer have the biological fuel for grueling daily tasks. Picturing the outcome vividly gives you the cheap dopamine of victory without demanding any real effort. To see how this obsession with the result plays out physically, we have to observe one of the most demanding precision sports in the world, archery. If you spend time around archers, you will eventually encounter a phenomenon called target panic. It happens when a shooter hyperfixates on hitting the dead center of the bullseye. The tension builds, the knuckles turn white. The desire to win becomes so intense that the brain experiences a cognitive overload. The muscles freeze in place, and the hand twitches, forcing a premature release of the arrow. Worrying about the aim corrupts the physical mechanics required to make the shot. Staring at the goal guarantees you will miss it. The target out there in the distance is entirely passive. It cannot pull the string back for you, and it certainly cannot steady your shaking hand. It serves exactly one function: orientation. It tells you which direction to face before you begin. Once you are aligned, looking at it provides zero additional physical power. Success is dictated entirely by the active microvariables under your direct physical control: how firmly your feet grip the ground, the smoothness of the anchor point along your jaw, the specific engagement of the back muscles holding the heavy draw weight. When you allocate all your attention to these controllable mechanics, your brain stays firmly anchored in the present moment, where the actual execution happens. If we visualize this concept with a mental bandwidth meter, the ideal state shifts entirely away from the target. 0% of your cognitive load is spent on the outcome, freeing up 100% of your capacity for your physical form. When you master the process of the draw, hitting the bullseye ceases to be a goal. It becomes an inevitable side effect of good mechanics. In the traditional Japanese martial art of Kyudo, this internal focus is taken to its absolute extreme. The target is never viewed as an opponent to conquer, but as a mirror reflecting the current state of your mind. Their entire philosophy can be distilled into the concept of seishoku seichu. This translates to the idea that correct shooting and correct hitting are exactly the same action. Kyudo masters observe that the very second the thought, "I must hit this now," crosses your mind, your ego has intruded. That single, desperate thought sends a microscopic flinch down your arm, ruining the shot. To avoid this, they teach the unforced release, comparing it to a bamboo leaf in winter. Snow gathers on the leaf, growing heavier and heavier. The leaf never actively decides to drop the snow at a specific second. The weight simply matures, the leaf yields, and the snow slips away effortlessly. When this physical state is achieved, the archer does not pull the trigger. The tension resolves itself. They do not say, "I shot the arrow." They say, "It shoots." True mastery is stripping away the forceful will to succeed, allowing the action to execute perfectly on its own. But the physical discipline doesn't end when the arrow takes flight. After the release, practitioners maintain a state called zanshin, or the lingering mind. They hold their form, breathing deeply, standing perfectly still. If you drop your bow the second the string snaps, you reveal an obsession with the final score. Holding the posture proves your respect for the form over the result. Zanshin forces a necessary psychological buffer between your physical action and the rest of the world's reaction to it. The quality of your follow-through shows whether you truly value the execution, or if you were just chasing the dopamine hit of the win. Most of us do not carry a bow and arrow to work, but we are constantly releasing our own shots. Hitting send on a major proposal, publishing a video, or launching a new product, and immediately after we release it, we collapse into anxiety. We obsessively refresh our analytics, monitor our inboxes, and wait for the world to tell us if we hit the bullseye. We can replace that anxiety with a modern form of Zanshin, a 30-second audit. When you hit publish, sit back in your chair. Don't open a new tab. Ask yourself if your execution was clean and if your focus was sharp. Once an arrow leaves the string, screaming at it will not change its path. The mid-flight roll dictates that the outcome belongs to the world now. Master the draw, audit your mechanics, and stop staring at the goal, because everything is aiming.